What's up, good people? So today we're going to talk about belief systems or limiting beliefs. Now, this verse that I'll read, I want you to look at it if you can in some different versions, right? You got Amplified version, you got Message Bible, any version you want to look at it, but look at it in more than one version so you can see the scripture in a different light. This one is very, very important for growth, important for redirection, but mostly it's important for you and how you actually see God. Most of us, including me, at times see God with a very, very, very small window. We don't see Him as having the ability to move mountains, do mighty feats. We usually see Him as just like the guy who we just serve, and we wanna make sure we understand that He's more than that. So today is going to come from Mark 11:22 to 24. Then 22 reads, just Jesus replied, have faith in God constantly. That alone, constantly. He does not say pull yourself up by your bootstraps constantly. He does not say grind as much as you can constantly. Have faith in God constantly. I assure you and most solemnly say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, this part gets me, and God's unlimited power, but believes that what he says is going to take place, it will be done for him in accordance with God's will. For this reason, I'm telling you, whatever things you ask for in prayer in accordance with God's will, believe with confident trust that you have received them and they will be given to you. All right, so there's a couple things that stands out. Have faith in God constantly. He talks about not doubting in your heart, but believing in God's unlimited power. And then the next one he says, for this reason I'm telling you, whatever things you ask for in prayer, in accordance with God's will, believe with confident trust that you have received them and they will be given to you. So a limiting belief is something that stops you from believing the next thing or the next level. Now, that is always going to be something that we approach as we grow and as we mature in our faith, as we mature in our understanding of who God is to us, who we are to Him. You'll realize that a lot of your hangups is your belief system. It's what you believe, right? If you believe that let's use fitness for an example. If I believe that I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. If I believe that I'm going to get stronger, but I don't lift any weights, it's not going to happen. Like, that's just not going to happen. But if I believe that if I go to the gym 3 days a week and I do the exercises that's prescribed to me and I progressively overload, if I believe I'm going to get stronger, I'm going to get stronger because I know that's an actual fact. Now, with God, the thing that is a little bit different is we can't see Him. And the second thing that's a little bit different is we are always trying to make God to be a human. He doesn't function like a human because he's not. He's a spirit. What that means is when we look at God, we have to look at him spiritually also. So when he's like, hey, I can do the impossible, our first thought is, if I can't do that, how could he do that? And that needs to be reversed. For example, he tells Abraham in Genesis 11 and 12, leave where you're from, leave your country, leave everything behind. I'm going to send you to somewhere else. I'm going to bless you. And that takes faith because Abraham was not broke at that time. And he had to leave everything that he knew. And that's where our belief system comes in at. Abraham could have said, I don't really know if he's going to actually do what he said he's going to do. So let's just not leave our country. Let's just leave our town. And your belief system starts to limit you. And we want to talk about that. A limiting belief that many of us have, and I struggle with this as well, is if God said to do something, it needs to make sense. That could not be further from the truth. Just because God tells you to do something, a lot of times it does not make sense. Whenever God has blessed me with money or tangible things and I needed it, a lot of the times he encouraged me or impressed upon me to actually give to somebody else. And by doing that, I was blessed after. In the Meanwhile, I was thinking, why would I be giving this away when I need this? And you don't realize he's telling you to give stuff away at times or to do things for the sake of obedience. Can you obey when you don't understand? So a lot of our belief systems fall in the line of if he says something, it needs to make sense. That's not true. It does not need to make sense. A belief system I usually see people have all the time is me waiting on God means to do nothing. Waiting on God means to serve him in some capacity. It just doesn't mean to go haywire and to go do 80,000 things. That's a belief system. But the biggest belief system I think that we have struggled with as humanity is believing what the enemy tells us is the truth, right? He's always going to say things like, God can't be working in your life because you're sinful or you've made mistakes or you're flawed or you don't have it all together. So God's not going to use you. Not true. Another belief system that I see happen with the enemy is in order for God to bless you or to do anything on your behalf, you have to work as hard as you can first. It's also not true. God may require you to do something, but he's also requiring you to have more faith than you do works. You need faith and you need works, but you need faith first. Hebrews 11:6 talks about it's impossible to please God without faith. And he that comes to God must believe that he is and that he's a rewarder to those who diligently seek him. So I'm going to ask you a question. What is a belief that you have that you're willing or need to break? One of mine is that I could only, and it sounds so selfish, but it's not, that I can only make up to a certain amount of money by doing dollars for hours. That's one that I'm working on hard with God because I believe that I would like to be wealthy, not just for the sake of saying I'm wealthy. There's a lot of things I want to do in the earth, and they require money. There's a lot of things I want to do for my family at a greater capacity, and they require money. So that's mine. But what's yours? What's a belief that you have that you want to break? It could be the belief of thinking you're not good enough. It can be the belief of thinking that you don't deserve to live better or have more. It could be numerous amounts of things. But if you're willing to break them, I'm going to give you some advice that I do. Bring it to God and ask God to expose where that belief started. Where did it start? And ask him to uproot it out of you. And you'll be amazed once you get challenged on that belief to realize a lot of this time my hangups was just me believing in something that that was false. So take that tip. Let me know what you do with it. But definitely, if you want to break a belief, bring it to God. Ask him to reveal how it started. Ask him to uproot it out of you and watch what happens. Be good, guys.